Hey, this is Glenn from Human37. What we're going to do today in this video, we're going to have a look at the basic tracking methods of Amplitude. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to have a look at a representative customer journey and a user story in order to then determine how the data points should look like, what they look like, what the code looks like, and then ship it in and verify how it arrives and what it does in the product. Okay. The user story we'll be working with today is as a product manager, I would like to have a proper overview on how effective CTAs are at driving signups and understand where we lose users in the funnel. It's kind of a classical B2B or SaaS experience, if you will. And the customer journey is built of a couple of milestones. I've already turned them somehow into events. But what we're seeing here, what we're looking at, I'm going to hide this, is first of all, a user is going to select a call to action. The event will be called call to action selected. It's going to have a CTA type. We'll fill in that later. Then the user is going to move into sign up initiated, plan selected. Plan selected itself will have a property called plan type. Then the user will move into payment details completed, where that event will have two properties, one called payment type and one called payment plan. And then we'll move into sign up completed. Now, there's going to be a bunch of methods we'll be using, and I've kind of outlined, or at least tried to outline them here. If we quickly walk through this customer journey and these milestones, you see that there's three levels. There's first the track level, there's the profile properties level, and there's the user ID level. So what we'll be doing is sending in this code in TrackLab in a couple of minutes. But basically, this is what the calls look like. So amplitude.track is a command in order to send in a track call after your Amplitude library has been initiated. So we'll be sending in amplitude.track CTA selected with a property called CTA type, and we'll give it a value, in this case, promo. Next, we'll go to sign up initiated. We don't have any properties, so the code looks a bit smaller. Plan selected has a property type plan type, with the value premium. Looks like this. Payment details completed with properties payment type and payment plan. Values premium and yearly looks like this. And now we have sign up completed amplitude.track, sign up completed, no properties. Like if you're a bit familiar with event-based analytics and the SDKs that come with it for certain tooling, this looks very familiar to Segment, Mixpanel, or even RudderStack, for instance. Like these are the things that typically come back, which makes it easy and nice because you're familiar with the syntax, right? Next to that, like when a user moves through this journey, you see here that we have a payment type and payment plan attached to that event. This is called like event properties. Now, if you would want to paste these properties on top of a profile, because I would want to be able to ask the question like, show me now a cohort of users whose payment type is currently on premium or whose payment plan is currently on yearly. Like there's two ways of doing it. One is executing a cohort or building a cohort based on users who have executed the event payment details complete, where the payment type, for instance, would be premium, right? But if a user would have done that twice and changed from premium to free, like that user would still be there because, well, in your potential cohort, the timeline in which you want to build that cohort, the user could have done it once or twice. And at that point, the user would still be part of that cohort. So an alternative is to actually use profile properties. And profile properties, you can see it as characteristics of a user. In this case, it makes sense actually to map the plan type a user is on at this moment and the payment type a user is at or on at this moment as profile properties. And the way we do this is by using the identify event. The syntax is a bit weird, but it's still nice and tight or tidy in order to get that data in. And what you'll see afterwards is that on top of these profiles, these users will have these profile properties, almost like characteristics of attributes of a user on their profile. Like in this case, I know it could sound confusing because we have it in the properties of an event and we also have it on the profile properties of a user. But you could think here that it could be anything, right? It could be like the country you signed up from or the role you filled in as a form. Maybe I'm a data analyst, maybe I'm a solution architect in the questionnaire. And based on that, we could just map it over to your profile. And last but not least, there's the user ID. So we can set the user ID in order to go beyond the standard device ID that Amplitude provides. Now we're going to try to send all of this stuff in. First of all, I'm going to reset it. So this is TrackLab where our team's trained. Oops. Amplitude.reset. Okay, now I should have like all of my cookies, everything should be deleted. I should have been attributed a new device ID. Let's have a look. Amplitude.get, no, dot get device ID. And so it ends with DA9. Okay. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna send in this bunch of events. So I have this somehow a bit prepared, let's say. So let's just open this up in a dual screen. I'm gonna take my Sublime text where I have the copies. We walked through the code already, so this is not like, let's say, the interesting part. Like the only thing that matters is like this is literally how I send it in, right? This is browser SDK that I've initiated. It's literally the browser SDK of Amplitude, and I'm using the console in order to log all of these events. And then we're gonna have a look at what it looks like in the Amplitude platform. Poof. And the last track call is sign up completed. Okay. Now that we've done this, so basically these are all the different calls, right? For instance, like payment details completed is exactly what you see here. Payment details completed with payment type and payment plan, which translate into this code, which is exactly what I've put in here. Now, if we have a look at Amplitude and we go to data, we go to events, like these events will be in here, right? If I would do, what did I say? Payment details completed, voila, last seen November 8th, which is now. And if I would go into user lookup, I would actually see this customer journey that I've just built, like CTA selected, sign up initiated, plan selected, payment details completed, and sign up completed. Let's have a look in here. This is what the user profile, together with the profile properties of a user looks like, right? You see there's not much initiated yet, only the default stuff. Like if I would look into this event, for instance, and I would request the raw payload, you would see that in event properties, like it's exactly, I'm gonna try to side by side this again. Oops, it's not going the way I want it to be. Okay. It's exactly what's happening here, right? Okay. What we're gonna do next is we also wanna map when a user signs up, like the sign up is completed, we actually want to map like, hey, what are the plan types and the payment plans a user is on? We want to map this on top of the profile, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to paste the code we have in here. I'm going to put it here. Boom. This is probably going to take a couple of minutes for Amplitude to like work through the data, visualize it in the UI, etc., etc. See to other user properties, it's actually already here. And so now I can say like, show me the payment plan and show me the plan type as part of the user profile. If I would go to cohorts and audiences after we know that it's mapped on top of a profile, I could say like, either I use event behaviors, which basically would require me to use the payment details completed with the payment type equals to premium to build that cohort. But again, if I would say like in the last 30 days and a user would first say like, hey, I'm on a premium plan, and like 29 days later, they would say, I'm on a freemium plan, that user would still be there, but the latest value would not be premium, which might be what I'm looking for, right? So what I could do is I could use user attributes now, because I'm always keeping the last version of plan type as the thing that is the freshest on top of the profile. So I could say like plan type, I'm not sure the UI, it's amazing the UI already has it. And I could say like premium, give me all the users who have it, who had this user property set in the last 3 days. And you see like I've been testing a bunch, so these are the users that are part of that. Now what we're gonna do as a last point, last but not least, is we're actually gonna set a user ID. I already messed this up too many times, I guess. So I'm not gonna use like glenrocks at 37.com. First gonna show you the profile again. What you see here is that the user ID is not set, right? We only have a device ID, which is what I've shown you in the browser. I'll try to go back. So what I've said was we were a user with the ID ending at DA9, which actually I could get device ID. So this is me, right? I don't have a user ID because I haven't set it. So you see user ID is empty. If I would like to set a user ID, the only thing I need to do is, and I also need this screen to show you, is use this code. I'm gonna slip this in, rocks. I'll call this rocks again. I'm just gonna send in a, sorry. Just gonna send a test event to make everything cleared out. And if you now go to Amplitude and I refresh my page, You're going to see that. Boom, everything is in here. The test event has been mapped and my entire customer journey has been stitched together. Basically, that's it. These are the standard or the most basic methods that you can use in Amplitude. Have fun building.